Now streaming only on Disney Plus.
My name is Taylor. Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Experience Taylor Swift's record-breaking Eras Tour.
Does anyone here know the lyrics? Prove it!
Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, Taylor's version, with 4 additional acoustic songs. Now streaming only on Disney Plus.
This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 2105, Why We Feel Lonely and What Not to Do About It, by Dr. Kelly Flanagan of drkellyflanagan.com. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday, and thank you so much for tuning into ORD once again. I'm your host, Greg Audino, and today I'll be sharing an article for you covering loneliness, which is a topic I really enjoy reading about and sharing with you, and also discussing myself, as I will in my commentary afterwards. So be sure to hang around for that. And for now, let's hear this article from Dr. Kelly Flanagan as we optimize your life. Why We Feel Lonely and What Not to Do About It, by Dr. Kelly Flanagan of drkellyflanagan.com. In 2017, I published a book called Lovable. It's a book about the healing of our shame, which is the belief we all pick up somewhere along the way that we are not good enough to be loved as we are, not worthy of companionship, if you will. I wrote the book because I'd spent almost 3 decades becoming ashamed, and almost a full decade becoming more aware of it and more free from it. However, following the book's publication, I discovered something a little disconcerting. Though my shame was shrinking, my loneliness was still lurking. For a while, this confused me. I'd been telling myself that shame and loneliness were essentially the same thing, and I assumed as one decreased, the other would decrease as well. Perplexed, I bought a bunch of books about loneliness written by authors I respect, in the hopes of understanding why my shame seemed to be diminishing while my loneliness seemed to be thriving. The reading didn't help. In fact, most of what I read also lumped shame and loneliness together by describing loneliness as an experience which invariably feels shameful. Then one day, I finally came across the answer I was looking for in a book I already owned. In fact, at the time, I owned almost 100 of them. The book was Lovable. In it, I had written, "Loneliness happens. It is as much a part of life as hunger and sunsets and funerals. It is simply what happens when we grow up and realize we have a universe inside of us to which no other person has access, and that every other person contains an unknowable universe as well." At some deeper level, apparently, I had known all along that, though we tend to lump shame and loneliness together in our minds, they exist separately, somewhere at the heart of us. Lovable reminded me once again, loneliness is not an artifact of our woundedness. Loneliness is a fact of our humanness. We can have family at home and friends in our neighborhood and followers online and still feel lonely, because loneliness is a constant, even in the midst of a crowd, and feeling lonely is merely a glimpse of that constant. When you feel lonely for a time, it is your loneliness surfacing and then settling into the depths again. It doesn't mean you're paying a price for something. It simply means you're paying attention. So why do we commonly lump loneliness and shame together as if they are one and the same? Because we're looking for explanations. I have a friend who, as an adolescent, told his mother he was going to a friend's house and went to an arcade instead. When he got home, the tokens jingling in his pocket gave him away, and his mother began chasing him around the house with a ruler. My friend had been prepared to get grounded for his deception, but getting hit for the transgression had never crossed his mind. So he dodged and laughed, thinking his mother must be fiending her rage. Out of breath, his mother called his father into the room. My friend expected his father to be more measured. Instead, his father backhanded him across the face. His cheek stung, but the 3 words inside of his head stung even more. "It's just me," he thought. In other words, what brings me joy brings them rage. What I think warrants punishment to them warrants pain. I'm all by myself. I'm all alone. In the sharp sting of skin on skin, the fact of his loneliness rushed to the surface of him. Like abandonment, abuse has a way of suddenly bringing our attention to this inner reality. Indeed, any experience which reminds us that no one else is seeing the world through our eyes can trigger awareness of our loneliness. However, our minds aren't satisfied with this awareness. Our minds are meaning-making machines. They want an explanation. They want to know why we've been abandoned or mistreated or misunderstood. Our minds ask, why do I feel so lonely? Shame is happy to provide the answer. The voice of shame within us, and perhaps even the voices of shame around us, tell us we are feeling lonely because we deserve to be alone. Shame tells us no one can hear us shouting for help because we aren't shouting loudly enough, or pleasingly enough, or articulately enough, or simply that we aren't worth saving. Shame tells us we got slapped because our sense of justice is wrong, or weird, or bad. Here's a simple way to expose the difference between your loneliness and your shame. Complete the following sentence. I feel lonely because... fill in the blank. Shame is often everything that comes after the word because. Shame is believing your loneliness is a consequence for how badly or strangely you were made. Shame is weaponized loneliness. You and I, we may never totally get rid of our shame. But we can tell it to keep its hands off our loneliness, thank you very much. Don't let your shame write the story about why your loneliness has surfaced. Try not to add a because to any moment in which you become aware of your loneliness. Your shame may pipe up within you, but recognize it for what it is. Don't let it ramble on for too long. Tell it you're not looking for explanations. Tell it you already trust the only real explanation. You are lonely because you are human. Then your shame will shrink a little more. And finally, you can be a little more alone with your loneliness. It's so much quieter that way. It's the kind of quiet that can transform you. You just listened to the post titled, Why We Feel Lonely and What Not to Do About It by Dr. Kelly Flanagan of drkellyflanagan.com. And be sure to stick around for my commentary right after this. Now, I am a big believer that if you want to be your best self in your relationships, or in anything you do, you need to fuel yourself properly. And that's why I'm so happy to have this show sponsored by Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. You'll have over 35 options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. And there's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale, and healthy options done easily. Not to mention it's flexible for your schedule. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing anywhere from 6 to 18 meals per week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime with no hassle whatsoever if something changes. So, head to factormeals.com/optimal50, that's optimal50, and use code optimal50 to get 50% off. That's code optimal50 at factormeals.com/optimal50 to get 50% off. Picture a wardrobe upgrade with quality essentials at an unbeatable price. Quince has you covered with timeless pieces that never go out of style. You'll have them in your closet forever. Quince has all the must-haves, like Mongolian cashmere crewneck sweaters from $50, iconic 100% leather jackets, and versatile flow knit activewear. And all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That's because by partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And most importantly, Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. And as for me, I love Quince's versatility too. They have great home items as well as clothes, and I've been really happy with the bedding that I bought from them. When you look at it and you feel the material, you can tell easily that it's of high quality. So indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/ORD for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/ORD to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ORD. And thanks so much to Dr. Kelly for this post. I always love reading the author's takes on loneliness. To me, it's always seemed to be misunderstood, and it's really interesting to hear experts make sense of it, or try to. And I love what Dr. Kelly had to say about how, to some degree, it's just an inevitable part of being human. To me, notions like that help to reframe loneliness. We may never find someone who will understand us as deeply as we understand ourselves. That's true. But we are all bonded by that fact. There's community in that. There are many people in the world who are pained by how lonely they feel. There's also community in that, right? A massive group of people going through a similar experience that either haven't met one another or just haven't connected over that particular struggle yet, even though they all face it. So there's so much about loneliness that's actually really communal, enough to make me argue, that many of our darker interpretations of loneliness are actually really illusory. So today, I dare you to look at your feelings of loneliness a little bit differently, see if you can find the togetherness in it. I'll leave you to it as we wrap things up for now, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and making this episode possible. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and do be sure to come back and start a new week with us tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.